order. Our first order of business is just to approve the minutes from our last meeting. So if everyone here is all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
That was quick. I'm Mitch Weatherly. I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Committee. We're meeting here tonight just to discuss data centers and what we want to do about them in the future. We've had a proposal from our city administrator that we amend our city code to prohibit construction of those warehouses, those centers from this point on. So as far as I know, we've not had anyone come approach the city asking that we build one of these things or allow one of these things to be built. But I think it's probably a good idea that we get out in front of it and speak to that issue before that might happen at some point. So that's what we're doing here tonight. So under new business, our only thing is that one item on the agenda. And so our first thing is to hear any public input that people might have on this issue. Oh, by the way, this is just a recommendation. We are not the final say on this thing. We make a recommendation. It goes to the city council who makes the final decision on these issues like this. So if there's anyone that would like to speak to this issue, now's the time to do it. We're, in the interest of people, everyone speaking that wants to, we're going to set a time limit of about 3 minutes or so on it. I mean, we're not going to sit here and watch on our watches, but, you know, keep it. Should we read the ordinance itself?
Yeah. I can read it if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the ordinance that the City of St. James, that the Planning and Zoning is voting on tonight is Chapter 405 is hereby amended by inserting one new section to read as follows. This is not in the code currently. This is what we're hoping to put into our code. Uses not permitted by provisions. For the purpose of this chapter, permitted uses are listed for the various districts unless the contrary is clear from the context of the lists or other regulations of this chapter. Uses not specifically listed as permitted or conditionally permitted are prohibited. Section 2, the City Code, Section 405.020, is amended by adding two new definitions to read as follows. Data centers, a building, group of buildings, or facility whose primary use is data processing or data storage and is used to house computer systems, servers, or associated components, such as but not limited to central processing units, graphical processing units, neural networks, quantum bits, quantum processors, memory, data routing, data storage, data warehouse, server farm, Bitcoin mining, crypto processing, virtual private networks, virtual servers, artificial intelligence, training or processing, image processing, cloud computing, email servicing, a telecom hotel, telehouse, co-location, or any other term applicable to facilities that are used for such purposes. A warehouse, a place other than a data center for the storage of merchandise or commodities. Section 3, all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon final passage and approval. And once again, just a reminder, the Planning and Zoning makes the recommendation to City Council. City Council has the final approval to approve or deny. Mitch?
So again, all that legalese is basically we're saying we do not want data centers here in the St. James city limits is what we're saying, really. So if anyone would like to speak at this time, ma'am?
Yes, I love the description you give here.
Let me turn
it off. The description. Nobody is mentioning the power, electric power, and the water.
You wanna come up?
The resources that will be used to that end. This is not a warehouse like Walmart warehouse, far from here. There are about 5,000 warehouses like this in the States. And now there are people that are really fighting against. And I live in St. James. I benefit from the heritage of Lucy James, by goodness sake. She worked hard to save Merrimack Park. The spring, she did everything she could. She even fought the political system at one point. So I feel like, how in the world my state, Missouri, the beautiful state of Missouri, is thinking of that? Where would you take the water that is needed for that to cool such a concrete palace, actually? And the push in that country is to cover the United States with this, but not in my backyard. For me, it's almost like atomic nuclear power next to me. That is really, that does. It made me come today just to say I'm totally against, but I'm glad that I meet you, and there seems to be an ordinance on the way to prevent that from happening. So I urge you to please don't let it happen. Missouri is too precious for me, for us. I want to keep the water, the resources. Somebody said they do take the water out of the ocean, but we are not close to an ocean here. It would dig to the rivers we have, no doubt. The water has to come from somewhere. And the electrical power would compete with our own electric needs, no doubt. No, to me, I'm totally against it, and I plead with you people to do something against it. Don't let it happen to Missouri. That's all.
What was your name, ma'am?
Christiane Donhofer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Got more questions than anything, but my name's Mike Shanta, live on County Road 1080.
Mike, can you talk into the microphone, please?
Is that good enough?
Pull it over forward.
On your definition of warehouse, you probably need to do something different on that, because if you're just going to say it's a storage for merchandise or commodities, you just had a brand new one go up, are you going to close it down? Plus, the Walmart Center is considered a warehousing unit, so you probably need to at least think about that stuff. I guess I'm a little befuddled by the state of, well, all the states. Nowhere has anybody provided what actually a data center does or doesn't do and what resources they're going to take. If everybody's so concerned about the groundwater, you probably need to check your records, because my wellhead has dropped 19 feet in 19 years. And I'm down 400 and some feet. So if you're going to say water's an issue, you need to look at all the water issues. The schools, warehouses, everybody's using water, and Missouri ain't really great for rain. Plus, it takes a long time to get down to the aquifer. I guess I can't think of anything other to say. I'm not for or against it, but before I voted no, I would want to see a lot more information about what's going on and what the proposals are. If you're just going to outright say none at all, have at it.
Anyone else?
What was your name?
My name's Cole Woodward. I've lived here since 2003. Forgive me, I came in a little bit late. This is to not allow a data center, correct? Awesome. I'm not gonna tell you guys how to do your jobs, but please, just as a local, do not let anything like this happen. I can only imagine how bad it would actually destroy everything around here. just please don't let anything of the sort happen, and please get with legal department and really go through the fine print of these corporations and all these big wig guys, just to make sure they don't work something in on a technicality. I'd really hate to see one of these data centers come up, only I do follow a little bit online, and personally, I think it would absolutely just destroy this town and this entire community. So, thank you, guys.
Thank you, too. Anyone else like to speak?
What was your
My
name?
name's James Neal. I live on the county line down here in St. James, on the backside of your Walmart center. I just wanted to speak to you folks about this data center and ask you please not to allow them. These data centers can be 5 miles long, a mile wide. They go in and they gouge out the earth and they do what they will. And then they're, at the end of the day, you guys have got a data center that's watching every move you make. You want somebody in your living room, folks? That's what you're gonna get. And they're just starting with one with you. They'll come in here and pull you so slick because that's what they do, folks, all day. You all have to worry about every family. You know, your responsibilities are great. Please don't allow these things. Let your children have Missouri the way you've had it. Preserve it, nature it. Look around, folks. They're taking everything, they're buying it all up, and they're trying to pull a slick willy on you too. Be smarter than that. Get the facts. Now, I'm speaking from the heart, but I know a little more than I'm willing to disclose here. They are that big, folks. They give you come in for one. It affects your groundwater, your property values. They'll build it in your backyard. You don't want to agree to them? That's okay. We'll just force you out. You want that? You want that? You want to limit yourself to all that? So please, I pray about it. I hope you all make the right decisions, and thank you for letting me speak this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Absolutely. Just tell us your name.
My name is Jean Goodwin. I have a little bit of connection to data centers. My former partner in another state, he worked for a company that built data centers, and he lived in Nebraska for 2 years building these things, and I would go up to visit him, and it was quite impressive and quite shocking to see what they did to a landscape. And he would talk about all the problems that were arising and how they would have to then buy somebody's property because it got bigger than they thought it would be, or they'd have to give somebody recompense because they're something that ran off from the construction would affect somebody else's property. And the size was unbelievable. So it doesn't make for a beautiful landscape. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
I'd like to ask a question. Is there anybody here that's for the data center? No? Okay, so we all know we're all against it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last 4 years. It's beautiful. I know everybody here
What's your name?
Mobius. Everybody here kind of like you know, we all have small businesses. There's a lot of that around here. I love that you guys are preemptively looking at this. Make sure that we're doing all the research and we're looking at the wording and the contracts and the things that we're putting into place so that we're not getting ourselves into a situation, you know what I mean? Because we do have a lot of big other companies here in town, so we don't want to hurt anybody or cut anybody off. But also, even if it's not a data center, we need to make sure to mention about the groundwater for any kind of business that may be coming into our community where they might be using that. Maybe they change the wording in these things to where they're not data centers in 5 years, and now all of a sudden none of our things matter that we've just created. You know what I mean? So we need to make sure we're preemptively looking at these things for groundwater, electricity, all the things that we're worried about, you know, our property and our farms and losing the things that we work hard for and we love here. We're all really probably very good and for the environment, I'm sure. That's what this place is about, the Ozarks, you know, the waterways, the floating, the kayaking, the Merrimack Springs, the fish, the hunting, like, this is us. Without that, we're nothing. So, I mean, we're not gonna sell out. I hope you guys don't either. But thank you for looking at this, and please make sure we look at the fine print, because we don't wanna hurt anybody that's already here, but make sure we put other things in place for other big companies that could have different wording, that could be doing the same kind of things later on. Let's make sure we're looking 20 years in the future and not just about tomorrow, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're just trying to get ahead of the curve. We have not been approached, to my knowledge.
Nope.
I think I'm right, yeah.
Can anyone speak?
Sure.
Yep, just tell us your name.
Pat Menzel, Menzel.
And I just moved here 5 years ago. Beautiful, love it. And I was alarmed when I heard the news that the data center, because again, we moved here for the hunting and or the fishing, natural life, small town life. And the last thing I want to see is big changes in the neighborhood. We were looking this morning on Facebook for some of the data centers that are already existing in other states. The high-pitched noise, the water issues, everything, it's just bad. So if you can do anything in your power to keep it out, the community would love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Gibson. I just had a few questions. Is that okay? Can I ask you guys just a few questions? Is that okay, or is it allowed?
I'm not supposed to ask questions.
It was more along the lines of like, so the process. So like, for example, if a company was going to come to you and say, we want to put a data center here, is that something that would have to come through you guys and you would have to approve it? Is that something that is made public knowledge at a point? That was kind of like what I was wondering.
Yeah, if someone approaches the city of St. James and we have an ordinance in place that does not allow that,
Yeah.
if they would want to continue the process of doing that business in St. James, they would have to make a proposal through the P&L to change the ordinance or the definition of that to allow that particular business to actually be in St. James. So it can always be approached by people wanting to change this, and it would come up to P&L and then would go, or to P&Z, and it would go to the city council.
Gotcha. And the fact that it would be proposed, that gets published like in a newspaper or just like
Yeah.
this was?
We always have to put it legally.
Okay.
I'm
I was just-
not exactly sure how. It always goes on like page 4 where all the legal notices are there. We've been very transparent. We will continue to be that way. Like Mitch and all mentioned, we want to get out in front of this before it happens. So
Yeah.
we're trying to provide as much information as we can. But yes, there's always that opportunity that someone could come down the road 2 or 3 years from now or whatever and want to put something in. So we've always got to be on the defense of something like that happening.
Right, and I did notice that, like the ordinance, like the changes that you're making, it's like you're defining those things, but I'm just wondering, and just listening to all the people here, would it be smart to put something in there about measuring the impacts that it was having on the environment? So a wording in there where, you could control what a business, it wouldn't matter if it was a data center or a factory or anything like that, because there would be only an allowable tolerance for disruption. You know, so if you defined it that way, no matter what they called it, it's because we're looking at the net impact on the environment versus defining it as something, and then next, 5 years from now, the technology has changed so much that they're defining it as something else. So instead, you're looking at it from protecting the environment. And maybe there's something like that exists already, so if it does, I apologize, but I was just...
And there's always that option of going back as, technology improves and stuff, to go back and make changes to ordinances and regulations that allow, that keep us up to date with what's going on in the world, so.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
One thing you guys can do to combat the problem right now is you can have a limit set for the amount of kilowatts the business can use and the amount of water they can use. And so it would depend what kind of business they want to be, if they are going to use too much more resources than they actually can. Yeah. Make it more broad.
All right. And as this goes through the process of getting approved by, the P&L tonight, hopefully, and then the council next month, and we can always go back and review and add to, make it more difficult to,
Just basically make it like these people, that make it where they can't just change the name of something in 2
Yeah.
years and flip it in,
right now, the big topic is data centers, but who knows what it's gonna be months or a year from now. So we can always go back and make improvements to that as things progress, so.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Tabitha Gobin. I'm married, Swires, but I would rather not be associated. Something people haven't been mentioning is, first of all, the health effects. Our bodies are made up of mostly water. And sound itself can have effects on water. I mean, you can see that and, put a glass on a speaker as it vibrates, okay? I can only imagine the long-term effects that the sound of these centers, the dull hum, the decibels that everybody talks about, what would that have on our health long-term? It's scary. I haven't looked into it exactly, but one could only imagine. Also, whenever people talk about large centers, warehouses, things being built, everybody thinks, oh, jobs coming to the community. But what they don't realize is all of the jobs are only whenever these places are being built. They build them, and then they only take a handful of people to run these monstrous places. And that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Diana Paulson, and I know quite a few of you up there. We share kids, family, school, back in the day and stuff. And I just want to say that if it ever does happen, I'd like to see transparency. I'd like you guys to have, long terms and stuff like that to look in it to where a lot of the other places haven't. I went to the conference that Mike Kehoe gave over in at S&T, and I watched and listened. I took 5 pages of notes, and I really, my concerns were there was the electric, and the grid, and the things like that, and all the and DNR. We've already seen on in different places that one has spilled into a lake and stuff like that. And as I know, I worked at a place, and when I ran a trailer park, and I had to do all the water stuff. And my guy that did that, he used to put blue in it and send it off to DNR. And I made them aware of that, and then I moved out of there. So I do know that there has to be some kind of safeguards for everybody, because my kids are here, and my grandkids are here, and I want to see my great-grandkids come to the school, and I want to see all those kinds of things. So I really want you guys just to be really careful, and I believe in a lot of you, so just do it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, what did
question.
I didn't hear.
What did you learn in Jefferson City when you went to learn about the data centers?
Who?
What about the data?
What did you learn in Jefferson City?
When I went up there, basically my takeaway, and I didn't stay for the whole day, and to be perfectly honest with you, is my takeaway was if you're in a county that does not have ordinances or regulations or zoning, then there's going to be a battle there, because right now data centers can do what they want. And that was more, that in Jeff City to me was aimed more at not how to keep them from coming, but how to leverage and get as much out of it as you can, if that makes any sense. So, like I said tonight, we want to get ahead of this thing. As far as I'm concerned, there's no money or no dollar amount that can be put to what a data center can do, because we're a rural community. Everyone knows that. Merrimack Springs, like everyone's mentioned, and everything like that. So we're concerned about our resources and the impact things like this will have on our communities. So, but the takeaway from Jeff City was pretty much that. This we can control what goes on in the city limits of St. James. And I was going to mention this a little bit later. I've got many friends that live out in the county outside of the city limits. My suggestion to them would be to contact your state representatives, your county commissioners, and have them start working on a process to help make that more difficult for in the county. So we're going to do what we can here in our little community, and hopefully take away from this with other communities as they'll feed on what's happening here. They'll see the overwhelming response of not wanting them, but they're seeing here in St. James, and that will feed on to other communities. So.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm not from your county. I live in the next county, but I know that we're pushing back in our county and Dent County, and we're working very hard to try to build a coalition. And we've learned some things, and we've done a lot of research. So if all you'd want some of the research that we found, I'm sure we'd be more than willing to help, as far as preserving nature and which species and things like that might be easier to protect or go after. But also, what you said was really helpful, because we're pushing back really hard. And in Dent County, the line is between the county commissioners and the town. It's the exact reverse there. But hearing things like in Texas County, they're trying to build up infrastructure, and there's all these little sneaky tricks that are going on. And so anyway, if I can leave my information, because we're trying hard to kind of protect all of us for the same reasons. And so anyway, that's all I got to say. So.
Anyone else? Gentlemen, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Don't look at my uniform. I'm not supposed to represent my company.
What's your name?
My name is Stacy Fenderson, and I just moved here probably a couple years ago from Texas. And one of the reasons is we have all this radiation in town, and it was causing blood clots, basically. And that's what EMF radiation does. And I know that while most of the radiation in data centers is confined to the walls, at least that's what it says on the internet, but they bring in higher radiation in they need more electricity, which affects the neighborhoods outside the city walls. And so causing microclotting, and I've done a ton of research on COVID-19, and I mean, no, that's a whole nother can of worms, but EMF radiation is responsible for a whole lot of those symptoms and hospitalizations and causing microclotting. So I don't think, for my part, I hope a data center is not really a good fit for St. James. It's kind of a bedroom community, and I moved here because is a bedroom community and we don't have fluoride in the water and all these other things that hurt our children more significantly than adults. I could go on and on about lots of research about how EMF radiation increases the parasitic load by 600 times. And it's actually parasites that cause about 50% of the cancers they're finding out. So if you want more information, if you need more information, I have tons of it and lots of resources. But that's all I have to say today.
Kind of hard to define. When you're coming from Rolla, the city limits is 20 some odd square miles, I believe. Bruce, you may know a little bit more about this, but when you come into St. James city limits of St. James, Missouri, and then anything inside of the city limits, and there's boundaries that if you look at it on a map of the county, it'll define where the city limits of St. James is at. So that's what this committee here and what the Council of St. James can regulate what happens in the community. Now, I live right on the outskirts of St. James here. Right across the street where I live is the county. So we can control what happens on my side of the street, but what happens on the other side of the street is out of our hands. So that's why, I would suggest you reach out to your state representatives and your county commissioners. And I think everyone pretty much knows in this area how everyone feels about the data centers.
Who is our representative?
Tara Peters is the representative. I don't know if you know Tara or not. I believe she's from the Rolla area. And Benny Cook, I think, has a little bit of Phelps County, but not a whole lot.
Who is our county commissioner?
Joey Oxer is the presiding commissioner. Sherry Stites is the commissioner. I can never think of the other gentleman's name who's been on there for.
Sherry's on our part of the county.
Yeah, Sherry's on our part of the county. Joey's presiding commissioner over all the county, and then there's I can never remember the gentleman's name. Hicks, is it?
Gary Hicks.
Gary Hicks is the other presiding commissioner. Depends on where you live in Phelps County, so.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am?
Our town has been entrusted with the care of veterans. How will that impact our veterans and Missouri veterans from here in St. James? That's one of my big concerns too, other than school rules. But just keep veterans in mind as well.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Go ahead and do your vote. No. Warehousing data, equipment, yeah.
Splitting the two definitions.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, again, this is just an amendment, not the whole.
Yeah, we're not doing away,
Actually,
yeah, we're not doing away with warehousing in St. James. It's just tied in with the data center part of it.
So with warehouse, a place other than a data center.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on our end? I think we're pretty much on the same page here.
Yeah, we're on the same page. I think this is more of a county issue than, I don't believe that there's any way that they'd ever try and build one in the city limits anyway, because there's no feasible place in the city limits now. I mean, I'm saying they couldn't build one in the county or in somewhere else in the state, but I don't give it, but I understand what we're doing this, I understand this is a good idea, but I don't think it's even feasible for them to actually build one in the city limits, because unless we change the city limits, there's no place big enough in town to build it.
And quite honestly, people can request to be annexed into the city limits. So if we have this in place, if someone wants to annex in, then you have to go by what's already in place.
And I agree, I mean, I completely agree, I mean,
want to annex in, they got to go through you guys.
Well,
Samantha?
Bruce?
Did the city attorney help write this up?
Yeah. That's why we're gonna do this whole process started 3 or 4 months ago when I first brought it to the council. And it was back and forth, and then we got the attorney, and he said this would have the most teeth of anything we had proposed previously.
So, in the data center down here in section 2, everything that's listed in here is, the data routers and data storage, Bitcoin mining. In his knowledge, that would eliminate everything in the data center. These things incorporate everything that's in the data center.
Yep, coming from our attorney, that would
Our attorney.
cover it.
And he works with other municipalities as well, so he's fluent.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor of?
Hey, Mitch,
amend-
do a roll call, would you?
Excuse
Do a roll call?
Sure. So what we're proposing here is to amend the city code. Well, we've read what we're doing here, but to basically prohibit centers within the city limits of St. James. So we'll start down here. John? Aye.
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 Thank you.
Motion passed.
Motion is passed, so.
Now, I can add one more thing right quick, and then we'll let them finish up. What happens now, this goes to the city council August 10th with the recommendation from the P and Z that this ordinance be amended to, as such read here. So on August 10th, we will do a first and second reading that night because of the overall concern from everyone. So we want to get this in place as quickly as possible. A lot of times we'll give